Good evening and welcome to the 2026 State of the City Address. Please take your seats and we'll begin momentarily. Thank you. Please rise for the presentation of our colors tonight, presented by the Salt Lake City Fire and Police Departments.
Ready, face. Prepare to close colors. Ready, post.
Now welcome to the stage Jack Deere Cansey Jr. for our Indigenous Homeland remarks.
My name is Jack Deere Cansey Jr., chief of the Bear Dance chief. I'm a Ute Indian, Ute from White Mesa, Utah. The community, the Ute Mountain Ute tribe. I'd like to welcome the Red Spirit Singers, who are members of the Uinta tribe, of the Uinta tribe in Array. They are honored to be here. Welcome to our ancestral lands, the home of my ancestral Ute people. I am Jack Cansey Jr., and the White Mesa community, Ute Mountain Ute tribe. 8 miles south of Blanding, Utah is where we're from. Directly adjacent to United States uranium processing mill. It is good to come up here to acknowledge that Salt Lake Valley was inhabited by Ute people. There are sacred Ute sites all over this valley and a lot of ancestral burial sites. It is good to see Salt Lake City current leadership honor and not develop those sites. I want to have an understanding of all the tribes that are here and are still here, the Shoshone, the Goshute, the Ute, the Paiutes. Many battles were fought here. Many warriors are buried here, along with our elders. Never forget, we did not die off. We're still here. There are a lot of stories that have not yet been shared with the public or our neighbors, and it is time for you to listen, learn, and understand who we are. You are all living here on the ancestral lands of my Ute people. Thank you, Salt Lake City, for taking the time to listen to each the way out.
Singing our national anthem tonight is Shiloh Lopez, a junior from East High School.
Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ready, face. Forward, march.
And now please welcome to the stage the CEO of Utah 2034, Brad Wilson.
Good evening, everyone. In 2,932 days, Salt Lake City will once again welcome the world. And in just 10 days, thousands of people are going to gather just across the street to watch the opening ceremonies of the Milan Cortina Winter Games, some 5,000 miles away. There's absolutely a sense of momentum that we can feel now in this Olympic city. In 2034, Salt Lake City will be the backbone of our Winter Games. From the Cauldron up the hill at Rice Eccles Stadium to the Metals Plaza downtown, the pulse of the Games is going to be felt on these streets, in our schools, and in each of our homes. You know, through vital stages of our Olympic bid, Mayor Mendenhall has been a steady and an absolutely essential partner. She was a central leader in bringing the Games back to Utah. And just as she's brought the neighborhoods of this city together through her leadership, she is a guiding light for all of us, including all of our host venue communities, as we move quickly towards our Games in 2034. But you know what? My focus this evening is not just about the amazing 17 days of the Olympics and the 10 days of the Paralympics that we're all going to experience together at our Winter Games here in 2034. It is more about the opportunity that all of you have individually to bring a heightened spirit, to bring engagement and community activation to this city. You know, for athletes, the Games are about human achievement, and they're measured in medals of gold, silver, and bronze. But the Games bring so much more. They bring an opportunity for vision, capitalizing on the energy that they bring in anticipation of our Games 8 years from now. And the Olympics and Paralympics bring a possibility for unity across Salt Lake City, throughout the great state of Utah, and spanning the entire globe. And I will tell you this, Mayor Mendenhall continues to lead with that long view, which is why our partnership with her absolutely works. She brings a vision for Salt Lake City, and she understands that the responsibility that comes with hosting the world is immense. But most importantly, she understands the possibilities of hosting the world. Our Games in 2034 are not the finish line. They provide an opportunity now to look ahead and then to look beyond. They are a continuation of a remarkable legacy in this city, a chance to invest wisely, to plan boldly, and build for the future of Utah and our capital here in Salt Lake. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our friend, my friend, the Mayor of Salt Lake City, Aaron Mendenhall.
Good evening. Hello. What a full house. I'm so happy to see you all here tonight. Thank you for being here tonight in the heart of Salt Lake City's Civic Center, in this beautiful building that formerly held the Leonardo Museum, and before that, the Salt Lake City Library. While the Leonardo Museum closed its doors last year, the spirit of creativity, innovation, and reinvention lives on through new uses like the Winter Farmers Market on Saturdays, with so much more to come. Thank you to Jack and the Red Spirit Singers. Thank you for the truth that you spoke and the voices that you brought to us tonight. And thank you to Shiloh Lopez. It was beautiful. Thank you to the Salt Lake City Council. Thank you to the county leadership. I see you here tonight. Thank you to our amazing Salt Lake City team and my own family and other esteemed guests. And to the Salt Lakers watching online, thank you for tuning in. Hi, Mom. I also want to thank Brad Wilson, my friend, for his thoughtful introduction. Thank you, Brad. I am so looking forward to our Olympic and Paralympic planning efforts over the next 8 years. But we don't have to wait 8 years to keep building upon our Olympic legacy. Because next Friday, this very block will once again be filled with people for the watch party, Salt Lake City's free celebration of the 2026 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. And I really hope that you and your families and your neighbors and visitors from across the state will join us, because Salt Lake City will forever be a place to celebrate our Olympic and Paralympic legacy from 2002 to 2034 and beyond. Our Civic Center will always be a testament to the power shared spaces have to bring us together, even, maybe especially, when the world feels divided. 2025 was a year of decisive movement. We began the year with the release of our public safety plan, detailed directives to act in 27 different ways within our power, and 23 clear recommendations for our partners outside of city control. Since then, we've implemented more than half of those solutions and are actively working on the long-term initiatives. In the fall, a chapter years in the making came to a close. We completed the voter-approved streets bond. It was passed in 2018 after more than a decade of deferred maintenance following the Great Recession. Together, we rebuilt 122 miles of worn-out roads, resurfaced 310 miles of pavement, and replaced more than 1,500 feet of century-old pipes. Just last month, we celebrated the opening of Phase 1 of Glendale Park, a new West Side space that exists thanks to more than 1,700 Salt Lakers joining the outreach that guided and shaped the project. Later this year, we'll start constructing more amenities there, from a skating ribbon and boardwalks to river access, a skate park, and a sledding hill. 2026 is a consequential year for our city. On January 9th, Salt Lake City marked 175 years since its formal incorporation. 175 years of choosing again and again to become more than what we were the year before. On January 4th, the state of Utah commemorated 130 years of statehood. On that same winter day in 1896, Salt Lake City was officially named Utah's capital. It is a responsibility we have carried with purpose ever since. And in fewer than 6 months, on July 4th, our nation will mark 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, when the United States of America committed itself imperfectly but persistently to those self-evident truths. Each of these anniversaries reminds us that history is not something we inherit quietly. History is something we are responsible for. And today, that responsibility rests heavily on our city. At a time when divisive politics and dangerous rhetoric dominate the headlines, the work of effective and representative local government matters more, not less. And it's no secret that we are being asked to do more than ever. What we see coming out of Washington, D.C. is scary, to say the least. But I refuse to let fear and cynicism set the limits of our ambition or diminish our values. Because Salt Lake City's story is not written solely in moments of celebration. It's written in how we treat our neighbors, how we care for what we've built, how we make room for more voices. When Salt Lake City was incorporated in 1851, roughly 10,000 people called this place home. Now more than 2,000 of you do. The next chapter of our city's story and our states and our nations is not waiting to be written. We're writing it now. In doing so, we will not stand still. We will not slow our commitments, and we will not govern for comfort when the moment calls for resolve, as was instituted in the Declaration of Independence. Resolve for those unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as was written in the Utah Constitution. Resolve for the right to assemble peaceably, protest against wrongs, and petition for redress of grievances, as was established when the first pioneer wagon entered this valley. Resolve for the right to come here to seek a better life for our families. The state of our city is determined, not by what we've completed, but by what we choose to take on next. We are writing this chapter with intention, with care, and with an understanding of what is at stake. That determination begins with the most fundamental responsibility of local government: safety. Keeping people safe is my top priority. It always has been, it always will be. Before I talk about Salt Lake City's public safety work, I'd like to address the safety of our community, our country at large. 2 weeks ago, I learned of a potential immigration and customs enforcement detention facility on our city's west side. Gratefully, we have since learned that the property owners of the site will not sell or lease the property to the federal government. You may have read a letter about that property that I sent to the owners explaining why it would not work here. But let me be clear. This isn't just about zoning restrictions. Such a facility has no place in our city, whether at that site or anywhere else. Recent tactics used by the federal government in Minnesota and Maine and elsewhere are completely and utterly deplorable. These tactics are not making communities safer. They're creating chaos. They are eroding trust in law enforcement. They're resulting in the death of Americans exercising their constitutional rights, and they have no place in the America that I call home. Nowhere in the United States is this acceptable, and I will not stand for that here in our city. I want to make it clear that I am prepared to use every tool within my control to protect the values of Salt Lake City and the dignity of every one of our residents. To this end, we launched the Future Citizens Path program to support eligible green card holders in Salt Lake City through the U.S. citizenship process. We work closely with partners at state and county levels, as well as the Utah Immigration Advocacy Coalition, to support our new American neighbors. We provide resources and funding each year to support immigrant and refugee Salt Lakers. And as I've said again and again, Salt Lake City Police do not participate in federal immigration operations. That will not change. What our police do is prevent and stop crime. They protect residents and visitors. They work to ensure the freedoms of speech and protest. And how they do that job matters. They are focused on our city's actual public safety needs. And so am I. Over the past year, our police have been especially focused on connecting those living on our streets with the resources they need to find stability. Often, the conversation around that intersection of homelessness and public safety gets reduced to crime, but this is not the whole truth. The reality is that on any given day, there are about 5,000 Utahns experiencing homelessness. More than 4,000 of those individuals are in shelters or in transitional housing. And I would like to thank our service providers for the difference their work is making every single day. I know many of you are here tonight. But a small group of the remaining unsheltered individuals are in and out of jail due to crimes related to homelessness. Many of them are people who are disabled, sick, suffering from mental health issues, facing addiction, or all of the above. And often they have tried to get help, whether through medical services or homeless resources or treatment programs. But due to their acute and complex needs, they have fallen through the cracks. They're stuck in a cycle of being arrested for trespassing or camping, being put in jail, and then released back out onto the streets without ever effectively connecting with the tailored support and the resources they need. The same circumstances that lead to homelessness also make people targets of violence and drug trafficking and theft. Nearly all of the police department's most arrested individuals, 96% of them, have experienced homelessness. Adding to the complexity, 84% report physical, mental, or behavioral health conditions. That understanding has shaped our approach. Tonight, I want to provide a clear and encouraging update on the public safety plan's most meaningful element called Project Connect. It's an initiative leveraging city, county, and state resources to connect Salt Lake City Police Department's 50 most arrested individuals with individualized solutions. And I want to thank our county and state and judicial partners, because Salt Lake City could not do this work without your leadership, commitment, and the resources you're bringing to this. The goal of our project is to reduce police interactions and help each person progress toward greater personal accountability, while also shining a light on the gaps within the criminal justice and judicial systems. Our social workers partnered closely with the Salt Lake Legal Defenders Association and their social services team. Together, we have created relationships with those 50 people to better understand what they need. This approach requires empathy, and it requires ensuring accountability. Since the program began, when any individual on the Connect list has been involved with the police, our social workers are notified. If they're booked into jail, the social workers are notified. We come to them wherever they're at in the cycle, and we ask them what they need to stabilize. For one gentleman in his 30s with 43 prior bookings, that stability looked like coming into custody long enough to receive treatment and become stable on his mental health medication. Once he was released from jail, he was connected to services by social workers and soon asked an officer for help getting his medication refilled when his supply from jail was about to run out. The officer and social workers connected him with 4th Street Clinic, where he is still engaging in services. For another gentleman in his 50s, that stability came in the form of housing at the Switchpoint Microshelter after more than 100 jail bookings and many unsuccessful attempts at treating his substance abuse and mental health issues. Since being housed, he has not been arrested once. And today, he is still engaged in services, on his medication, and working to get his legal issues resolved. And for an older gentleman in his 60s, that stability looked like extensive collaboration between Salt Lake Legal Defenders Association, Salt Lake City prosecutors, the city police department, and his family to end his pattern of moving in and out of jail due to mounting citations and arrests. This team worked together to get him home to California, where he now has the support of his sister and his home community, and he too has not been booked into jail since. We're making real progress. Already 60% of Project Connect individuals have been arrested less often since beginning the program. So tonight I commit to you that Salt Lake City will double down on our efforts on Project Connect in 2026. We'll expand beyond the first 50 individuals, refining the metrics for long-term success. We'll continue to work with our partners to bridge gaps between our agencies, creating more efficiency throughout the system. We're going to do this even though it's hard, because it's critical to reduce the demand on our officers so they can do their jobs. Our police officers deserve to see their work be helpful and effective, rather than spending a majority of their time arresting the same people over and over. And because these improvements don't just improve efficiency, they help people who are desperately in need. Pardon me. Safety is a physical reality. It's response times, it's lighting, it's patrols by our officers. It's also a feeling, though. It extends into our parks and streets and the public spaces and places where our city life unfolds. As Salt Lake City grows, so too does demand, and our responsibility to ensure that those shared spaces are safe, welcoming, and that they're worthy of the people who use them. When our families grow, we don't just keep squeezing into the same seats around the dining room table. We make room. We add high chairs, we pull up a couple stools, maybe we score a bigger table off KSL Classifieds. I actually did that. Here's the table. It was only $100. The point is, we adapt our space so everyone can gather with dignity. Growth creates opportunity, but only if everybody has a seat. That philosophy guides our investments across the city. In the foothills, it means opening dozens of new trailheads so more people can enjoy our beautiful mountains. On the streets, it means rebuilding with safer crossings or more frequent transit service, clearer signage. We want to make space for more people to move through the city safely and efficiently. And downtown, it means rethinking how our civic spaces serve a larger, more diverse city. Now, I think you've probably heard me talk about the Green Loop before, but chances are you won't hear me use that phrase very much going forward. What you will hear is what we're actually doing and what we want to see in our streets and our neighborhoods. Because the reality of the Green Loop is it isn't just one project. It's 4 very distinct corridors that are already deeply connected to daily life in this city. And it's a vision that's already begun on 900 South. We will soon begin engagement and design work on 500 West. And I'm incredibly excited and grateful to tell you tonight that following the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Temple Open House next year, we will move forward with discussions about sections of South Temple in partnership with the church. At its core, this is about beautifying downtown and embedding interconnectedness into our very streets and sidewalks, adding trees and shade to the downtown core so you can go shopping and walk your dog in the heat of the summer. It's about driving more people to shop at our local businesses, drawing residents and visitors farther into this downtown community. And this won't all happen at once. It will move block by block. It'll be shaped by the character of each place and the people who live and work there. And we've already seen success in this vision. The 9 Line has shown what's possible when streets become places. We can carry that same energy across downtown, transforming barren sidewalks and asphalt to create shaded green corridors that invite people in and bring us together. And tonight, I commit to you that every business and every family along these corridors will be invited to help shape this vision. Block by block, we will do this together. I want to say that again. We will not do this without you. We will invite every single business and every family along these routes to ensure it will benefit you. We will use your input and your needs to shape a future that will improve your neighborhoods. The next chapter of this work begins right here at Salt Lake City's Civic Center, connecting Library Square across 2nd East to Washington Square, our city's front yard. This is the heart of our civic life. Tonight, I'm proud to share the vision for the Salt Lake City Civic Center.
We're inspired by the fact that this space sits in the neighborhood with the greatest need, unmet need for green space in the city. It's so exciting to be starting with the beloved central civic space of Washington Square, a place that's very familiar and iconic. And Library Square is its neighbor, and in some ways its sibling. Beyond the need to make the repairs of the 25-year-old landscape, we heard from all the different interactions we had with community members and stakeholders that the events that are held in this space are beloved. The library is also beloved, and people love the experiences they have in the library. But especially in the summer, during the hottest months, the plaza and the whole block is uncomfortably hot. So if we take the shade and the greenness of Washington Square and we bring it into Library Square, we have this much more open and leveled out space in Library Square so that you can walk in multiple directions and also see from the east end of Library Square all the way to the city and county building across 200 East. Then we're using the Crescent Wall and the former Leonardo building to enclose a circular room that is really at the heart of the civic campus. Spaces like this are important because they're accessible to everyone, they're free, they bring diverse people together who might otherwise not cross paths in their work and their daily lives.
The vision study is live online right now. Push the button. And I hope each of you take a minute to look through it. Just take a moment with me and imagine a future with this vision in place, say in, 8 years. Picture riding your bike along the 9 line, stopping for a coffee or a quick bite, making your way up 2nd East here to Library Square to borrow a book at the library and read outside in the shade. And then heading for an early dinner or drinks at a rebuilt White Horse before heading to a Utah Mammoth game. Or in February of that year, watching Big Air athletes fly across the skyline in the middle of downtown Salt Lake City. And imagine, when you travel over to the Delta Center, you don't have to go all the way around the Salt Palace Convention Center because we reconnected the downtown core. 9th South, this block of 2nd East, South Temple, 5th West. These are very different areas, but they are a part of the same vision. The 9 line, the Civic Center, the Sports, Entertainment, Culture, and Convention District, these also are not separate projects. They're informed by each other. They're a deliberate, concerted effort by Salt Lake City to keep and create the most beautiful, walkable, connected downtown we can possibly have. They create a better ecosystem. Why? Because yes, in 8 years, we will welcome the world for the 2034 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. Downtown will be the focal point. And my hope, my vision, is that Civic Center will someday serve as our city's Olympic legacy park, where residents and visitors can gather and play every day, while also celebrating our state's Olympic and Paralympic legacy. The beauty of this vision is that these assets are for residents' use every single day. As this area takes root as our civic center, Salt Lake City will strengthen it by breathing new life into this building, formerly the Leonardo, by reutilizing it for 3 distinct purposes. On the first floor, Salt Lake City's Youth and Family Division will soon join Ken Sanders Rare Books, using this central location for after-school programming that helps families stay downtown. We also hope to lease a section on the ground floor to local arts and cultural groups. On the second floor, in partnership with the city's Arts Council, the Utah Division of Arts and Museums will display its visual folk arts program and highlight emerging Utah artists now closer to the downtown core than they have ever before. They'll offer lectures, classes, and gallery stroll nights. And finally, the top floor here will be used as additional city office space, housing 70 existing staff members from 3 departments and ensuring Salt Lake City avoids the cost of constructing another administrative building for years to come. We know that residents are feeling the strain of increased taxes on the county level, and as I have said for years, we most likely cannot avoid a city property tax increase for the upcoming fiscal year. But we will not raise them to build a new administrative building. We will use what we already have, keeping it activated and functional on all 3 floors. If you'd like, you can call this building City Hall East. But if you're a philanthropist and you have millions of dollars ready to invest in the Civic Center, you can call it whatever you want. Call me. Now that the vision study is complete, this year I will be asking our City Council for $2.2 million in capital asset program funding to create the construction documents for the first phase of our Civic Center. After that, the construction process can officially begin. And I want to be clear that the $2.2 million would come from our capital improvement funds, which are legally dedicated to city-owned construction projects, especially for the maintenance of assets we already have. And as you walk around this plaza, whether it's on a hot summer day or tonight, you can see that the pavers are lifted, cracked, and failing. The concrete is worn and unstable. We can repair it while also transforming this space to better serve our city. This building will continue to serve the purpose it always has: a place to learn, a place to play, a place to gather. Because living in a city means sharing sidewalks, parks, transit, libraries. These spaces help us encounter one another, understand our different experiences, and build trust across differences. In today's world, the role of public spaces has never been more important. Over the past year, that stewardship has taken tangible form. Along the Jordan River, a multi-department maintenance effort cleared 8 blocks of riverbank. That work will now expand across the full Salt Lake City stretch of the river in 2026. We're determined to improve the lives of our West Side residents and all trail users. In the last year, we planted more than 2,100 new trees, increased our pruning by over 50%, launched long-term disease treatment studies, restored native plants, and removed more than a literal ton of invasive species. We are determined to nurture and strengthen our urban forest. And our regional athletic complex marked its 10-year anniversary, and they had a record $25.7 million in economic impact, hosting 19 out-of-state tournaments, welcoming 1.7 million visitors, and proving that public spaces can fuel both community life and economic vitality. Because we are determined to provide our youth and families the space they need to play, compete, and grow. In the year ahead, we will begin or advance more than 20 public lands projects across the city, because access to safe, welcoming public space should never, ever depend on your zip code. All of this work reflects a simple truth. The way we care for shared spaces is a reflection of how we care for one another. That care is incomplete without housing that allows people to remain rooted here in our community. And in Salt Lake City, belonging cannot be temporary. When teachers and service workers, caregivers, elders, and young families are pushed out, we all lose stability. Tonight, I'm proud to report that every one of the actions we committed to in Thriving in Place are complete or actively underway. Our new Tenant Resource Center has helped more than 1,700 renters. New wealth building programs that will help renters become owners will soon deliver nearly 200 units focused on long-term opportunity. And we've taken a hard look at our own rules. I know that for many people, zoning and ordinance updates are about as exciting as watching paint dry, but just hang in here with me for a second because it's really important. It's another way that we're pulling up more seats to that kitchen table, and we're putting the leaf in. We got to make more room. Just last month, our city council adopted new residential zoning that it makes it easier to create attainable housing in neighborhoods across the city. In the months ahead, we will present a plan to expand housing options to our city council. These changes give residents even more flexibility to add housing that fits their neighborhoods. We've also simplified our zoning rules across the board, trimming down our zoning code by nearly 50 pages. Because clearer rules mean that housing can be built faster and more affordably. A recent Pew Charitable Trust report found that Salt Lake City added housing faster than most major metro areas between 2017 and 2023. As more homes came online, rents declined, dropping by as much as 5.5% in older buildings. And this spring, we will launch a program that invests in repairs and improvements for existing affordable housing while locking in long-term affordability through deed restrictions. It's a way to maintain our existing buildings, protect the residents, and give owners a good reason to reinvest rather than sell or tear them down. At last year's State of the City address, I unveiled the Affordable Housing Construction and Preservation Dashboard, and tonight I'd like to share with you the latest data, including information from all of 2025. Now, I know that all of you are reloading this dashboard every morning before you have coffee, but for those who didn't look at it today, you'll see that this administration has invested $135 million into affordable housing. You'll see that we've supported the creation or preservation of more than 7,600 affordable and deeply affordable units since 2020. Those investments saved renters an estimated $13 million in 2025 alone, and $28 million since I took office. Yeah. You notice there's a consistent theme in our work: preservation, preserving homes, preserving neighborhoods, preserving affordability, and increasingly preserving our future. There's no Salt Lake City without the Great Salt Lake. That's why in 2025, we contributed more than 12 billion gallons of high-quality treated wastewater to the lake. That's 18,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. We also marked a milestone that few cities ever reach: 30 years of perfect compliance with the Clean Water Act and at our water reclamation facility. And we achieved that while both operating the water reclamation facility and building its replacement next door. Now, mind you, that replacement is the largest public works project in Salt Lake City's history. Construction began in 2019, and we are on track to complete it this fall. When finished, you can flush your toilets with confidence for decades to come when this is finished. But we're also looking beyond our borders because, as you know, air and water don't stop at our city limits. Salt Lake City is one of 19 communities participating in the Utah Renewable Communities Program. This is the effort that will bring 100% net renewable energy into all of our communities that are participating. We're actually expecting a regulatory decision from the State Commission any day now. If it's approved, this program will give residents and communities real choice in how their electricity is generated. It will support reliability today and cleaner air tomorrow. Capital projects, livability, resiliency, efficiency. For 6 years, these have been our priorities. This year will be no different, but none of this work is possible without our city team, who work 365 days a year. And tonight I recognize our Salt Lake City public servants, the people who keep our city running, keep our neighbors safe, and they keep our community strong.
I have the absolute privilege to be able to meet someone often on their darkest day and just make it a little bit better. Change the world just a tiny bit.
My father retired from Salt Lake City Fire Department as a battalion chief. So I grew up around this fire department. I always wanted to work for Salt Lake City Fire Department.
The Jordan River Parkway Trail, first and foremost, is one of the most unique sort of pieces of land in all of the United States.
Growing up, I didn't necessarily have an after-school or an out-of-school type program that I was a part of consistently. This showed when I was 17 years old and I got in trouble by the law and I had to fill community service hours over at the Boys and Girls Club. So since then, it's history now. So 14 years down the line, I'm grateful to be here in Salt Lake City supporting the families that we have.
So the Main Street fire posed a lot of challenges. I'm extremely proud of the firefighters that responded to that, and they worked very, very hard and very diligently to not only put the fire out, but to prevent fire spread and ruining other businesses.
The Victim Advocate Program started out of an effort to make sure the criminal justice system was nicer to victims and easier to navigate.
Because of funding challenges this year, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Salt Lake unfortunately had to shut down one of their programs. So the Boys and Girls Club reached out to us and we were able to collaborate and run our services within their buildings.
How do we all best come together to make sure that space is not only like safe and accessible, but that people want to be there?
And we had what we call a mayday, where a firefighter was injured and his officer had to call a mayday over the radio to let everybody know that somebody was in danger.
We do a survey with survivors after we're done helping them and ask them what was the thing that most helped. And I expected it to be the protective order or the shelter or funding. And over, it's a human being who cared.
We have seen many community members, families come and let us know that they appreciate us being there and that they're grateful that the city and the Boys and Girls Club were able to partner and collaborate to fill the needs for the community.
It's rare enough that you see a city, in America, certainly a capital city that is growing, that is expanding, that has all of these things sort of in the plus column for it.
It is our home, it's our community, and it is an incredible honor to serve our neighbors, our community, our friends, and our family here in Salt Lake City.
I have a lot of Salt Lake City pride in me, yes. Yeah, I'm proud to wear this patch.
If you're a Salt Lake City, if you are a Salt Lake City team member, will you please stand so we can recognize you? All of you, come on. As you can see, the determination and love to make our community better is not new to us. It's defined Salt Lake City for 175 years and this nation for 250. I've said it once tonight, but I think it bears repeating now. History is something we are responsible for. It's also a debt that we owe to those who came before us. In 1834, a man named DeLoss Robinson was born in Tompkins County, New York. His father fought in the War of 1812 and his grandfather in the Revolutionary War. His mother, a niece of Brigham Young. He and his family settled in Illinois during a time of national division, not terribly unlike the moment many feel we're living in today, a nation struggling. Later, when the Civil War divided the country, DeLoss, at the age of 28, shifted his focus from the family farm to service. He enlisted in the Union Army, believing not only in the survival of the nation, but in a deeper, more complicated promise that all people are created equal and that rights must be defended, not assumed. As a sergeant, DeLoss stood on the front lines with General Sherman for the Battle of Atlanta during the March to the Sea campaign. He fought in Raleigh as well. His dutiful presence often seen in the heat of battle or in the cold of night, silently watching over camp. He survived. He returned home. In 1909, 5 years before his death, he visited Salt Lake City, reconnecting with his mother's family who had moved from Illinois to Utah. During that visit, those relatives, those descendants of the young family, gave him a ceremonial cane. A few decades later, on the other side of the globe, World War II was raging. In northeastern Europe, the Soviets invaded country after country, leaving destruction in their wake and displacing families at every turn. Thousands of refugees fled, surviving in deportation camps while searching for safety. Among them were Jonas Morkūnas and Janina Rečytė, Lithuanians, who met and married in such a camp in Germany. Through persistence and some luck, this young couple eventually secured an immigration sponsor in Philadelphia. They crossed the Atlantic, arriving at Ellis Island beneath the words etched into the Statue of Liberty, words that promised refuge and possibility. They lived in the back of a Catholic convent until they could afford an apartment. They learned a new language. They adjusted to a new culture. They started over with nothing, but they did it. They built a family here in the United States and raised their children and grandchildren to believe in the great possibilities of this country. Today, Jonas and Janina's granddaughter and DeLoss Robinson's great-great-granddaughter now stands before you as mayor of Salt Lake City. I carry their values with me every day. And I share these stories not to center myself, but to underscore something larger, that none of us made it here alone. Every one of us is here because of courage, sacrifice, migration, a belief in a future that did not yet exist, but was possible here. That is the inheritance of this nation and this city. That is our debt. We owe it to those who came before us to protect those seeking a better life, to ensure those who arrive are not persecuted for their beliefs like so many of Utah's first pioneers, but that they are embraced, they are welcomed, that they may become a part of our strong community. I, like all of you, am a product of our country's history and immigrants. And I will do everything in my power to protect individuals who want nothing more than what those who came before us wanted: safety, opportunity, and dignity. And I know, and you know, that achieving these goals becomes heart-achingly more critical by the day. We must stay committed to our values and our humanity. Over the past year, I've been focused on the work behind achieving these goals rather than seeking headlines about it. Success will not be achieved with words alone, because this is about action every day, doing the work even when the future of our nation is so unclear. Salt Lake City will never stop working to keep our communities safe and growing, our people connected and supported, no matter what comes. Hear me that I will use every lawful tool available to protect Salt Lakers, to defend dignity, and to keep our city a place where the doors of opportunity remain open. And this city is determined to support our residents, whether they've been here for decades or just days. Determined to govern with humanity and accountability. We will do the work. Otherwise, what have we fought and died for these last 250 years? How did America become great in the first place? History brings us to this moment, but it does not carry us forward. That work belongs to this generation in this city right now. Thank you for doing it alongside us. I wish you and your families a safe, healthy, and hopeful year ahead. Good night, and thank you for being here.